Hello everyone, welcome back. We're continuing on with our discussion of Microsoft Excel and getting introduced to Microsoft Excel. So we did a bit of things last time with this table that we were developing, and I want to go a little further and add a few more things here to kind of help add to its kind of professional look, change some things around. So we're going to cover sorting and filtering. We're going to cover adding new rows or new columns in. We'll talk about some headers, footers, and then we'll talk about something else called the fill handle, which you're going to really love once you get introduced to it. So we have our table. Now I want to add a couple things here. This looks good, the data is good, but I need some sort of title, some sort of big heading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the first row, click on the one itself, and then right click and add insert. And I want to give this some sort of title. I'll just say student grades. But we notice how right there A1 is all up in the corner. It doesn't seem to really kind of go over the entire table. So how do I fix that? Well, I'm going to highlight the row from A to I, and then I'm going to come up here to merge and center, and that's going to allow me to kind of make one big cell out of all those that were highlighted. I might want to change this still to kind of continue on with the theme. So I'm going to come down here and go to a bigger size there, heading 1, and it looks a little better. Now, let's say that we have to present some of this data or print it off for a meeting, for instance. I want some sort of heading or some sort of header. How do I insert a header? Well, just like you would in Word, headers, footers, page numbering, that kind of stuff is very easy. Right over here under header and footer, it's going to change the view just briefly, just a little bit, and it won't be for very long, but it gives me a view of what the headers are or where the header is. So I'm going to put student grades in there, click out of it, and then go back down here to the normal view. And so you can't see it, but it is there. There is actually a header. The same goes for page numbering, a footer. If you click over here, you can put in a current time, a timestamp, the date, page numbering, all manner of different kinds of things there very, very easily. Very, very helpful, especially if you are going to print that off. Now, this looks good, but again, let's say I needed to alphabetize it. Let's say the list wasn't just a few rows here, but a huge amount, hundreds and hundreds. How do I change it to alphabetize or sort it in really any kind of way? I'm going to highlight all of this, including the header above it. And then I'm going to come up to sort and filter and move down to custom sort. I mean, before I do custom sort, you can sort A to Z, and that would just be by the first name, because that's the first column, is the first name. So that's good, but you know what? That may not be what I want, because as these are names of students, I may want to alphabetize it by last name. So I'm going to do a custom sort. Come down here and then sort by last name, A to Z, click OK, and lo and behold, it's now been sorted that way. You can sort this in all manner of different ways. You can filter it as well. I'm not going to go over that right now. But very easily and very quickly, I was able to put this together and change things around, tweak it just enough so that it looks a little better. Now, I mentioned how we were going to go over something called the fill handle, and this is one of those tools that once you learn about it, you kind of think, man, how did I use Excel without it? It's really, really helpful. Let's say that I'm putting together a table here. This is on office hours. And I have to write all the days of the week and then the times that I'm available. And you think, man, if this were a really big spreadsheet, that'd be a lot of data to just keep typing in again and again and again. Well, you don't need to do that. You can use what's called the fill handle. The fill handle is that bottom right corner. It's the green square. If I click on this and I drag, you see how it actually will fill in the sequence that I'm trying to put together, which is pretty nice. Now, normally, if I were just to put in, say, a number or something, if there's no sequence that Excel is reading, it'll just populate the number again. The same goes for words. Let's say I have the word apple or something. If there's no sequence, it will just repeat that word or that number again and again and again. That alone can be very helpful, but the sequence is very helpful. The same goes for something like times. I don't want to type in 10:00 a.m., 11 again and again and again. I'm going to highlight both of those to basically show Excel that I do want some sort of sequence. And then click on the fill handle, 12 p.m., 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It even changes from AM to PM for me because it's kind of intuiting that I want this kind of sequence in this spreadsheet. So very, very helpful right there. A couple things that once you learn about these, you can get into more detail with how these things can work, but these alone can be very, very helpful if you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out some of the most basic elements of Excel. Now, after this, we're going to do a few videos on adding charts and graphs into your Excel spreadsheets. So we're going to move into the Insert tab, and I'll show you how you can start to use tables like this to develop some really eye-catching charts and graphs. So stay tuned.